Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ruth Mitchell, editor of the Wholesaler magazine, coming to you from Chicago, Illinois. I'm excited about today's Off the Cuff podcast. Today, we're joined by Bill Darcy, CEO of the National Kitchen and Bath Association, known by its acronym of NKBA. The association is a forward-thinking professional trade organization serving the $150 billion kitchen and bath industry. NKBA is an all-industry association with 50,000 members across all segments, including designers, remodelers, showrooms, dealers, distributors, and manufacturers. The association owns the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, known as KBIS, which is traditionally held annually alongside the National Association of Home Builders event during Design and Construction Week. The combined show is one of the world's largest, most comprehensive industry trade events. And if you've been to the event and walked the floor, you know what I'm talking about. Well, there's been nothing traditional about 2020. As we enter into the new year, for the first time, the event will be held virtually, taking place during a virtual Design and Construction Week, which is in February 2021. Since joining NKBA more than 14 years ago, Bill Darcy has been instrumental in guiding the organization and industry forward, creating an organization that pioneers collaboration and implementation of services and tools to empower members. You know, I'm jumping way ahead of myself, and there is so much to talk about. So you know what? Let's just jump right in. Bill, welcome to Off the Cuff.
Ruth, thank you for having me, and thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about, this has been one crazy year, and we don't need to go back and talk about everything that happened. We've all lived through it, the supply chain being disrupted, business being interrupted, projects being interrupted, some starts along the way. With that being said, COVID disrupted wholesale distributors and showrooms, and they needed to change the way business was conducted. Can you tell me what innovations have taken place that have enhanced the experience of supporting the brick-and-mortar showrooms?
Sure. Of course, like you, we were very concerned with retail operations and continue to be, but it's amazing to me the creativity that the NKBA member showrooms came up with. I mean, obviously virtually connecting with clients, looking at video meetups, looking at opportunities where you would invite them to the showroom, but did you have to do that the first step? Could you not do it over video? Start a virtual presentation, and then ultimately building or creating these virtual showroom experiences so they could, in effect, visit the showroom, virtually. Probably what most impressed me, though, after all those things were being developed, is taking the opportunity to look at how these tools could be used and leveraged after the pandemic is over, because I think all of us know, or I guess imagine that, how will our world look even when we are back to a much more in-person environment. So I think the creativity and how many clients you can reach and how you can represent your showroom and environment to them will be even more enhanced once there's that hybrid model going forward.
Absolutely. And, we've seen innovation and creativity happen over the last couple months here, which translates into what we just saw when NKBA released its exclusive Q3 Kitchen and Bath Market Index in late November. It reported some good news. The industry is expanding for the first time since the COVID-19 outbreak. Can you tell us about the growth anticipated for 2021 and what's causing this uptick now?
Yeah, sure. So very excited about the most recent Q3 KBMI for the first time. It is above 50 at 61.9. That's up from 44.2 in Q2 and even lower 41 in Q1. The first half of 2020, our members predicted negative sales for the year, of course, as many did. Q3 brought better news for the industry, which now expects a 1% increase in year-over-year sales compared to 2019, which is quite fascinating to me. Q3 sales in 2020 were up over 2% from 2019, and sales grew nearly 6% since the quarter overall, ranging from, designers who saw a smaller increase in a little over 3% to manufacturers who experienced a significant increase of nearly 10%. 62% of all companies surveyed reported that COVID drove higher demand to their business in Q3, and we had an increased pipeline demonstrated. Demand is another promising indicator for 2021, with 53% seeing larger pipelines of projects or project orders in Q3 2020 compared to the same period in 2019. So not only in the short term, or at least the recovery, but also in that pipeline as we look towards 2021.
What's causing the increase here? Is it remodeling that's continuing? Is it new starts? What do you see that's driving those numbers up?
Yeah, we had a lot of momentum going into COVID. And, the demand for these projects, and a lot of it starts with the fundamentals, strong fundamentals, age of the housing stock in the U.S. Then you add environments, situations like people spending more time in the home. They were already spending a lot of time in the home, but now maybe they're not commuting. Now they need their spaces to do multiple things that, your kitchen didn't need to act as a school before, or an office, things like that. So you have people moving from the urban to suburban areas and remodeling, so there's so many things, but I think the key component is the fundamentals were super strong going in. Mm-hmm. And while the COVID certainly caused a lot of disruption in our day-to-day, lives as consumers, all of us, once the creativity happened and people adapted, those people that could, weren't going on vacation, they weren't traveling as much to work and saving gas money. All this discretionary income got invested back in the house, and driven by, a lot of, we saw some DIY projects right out of the box with paint. I did an interview with Fox Business early advent of COVID around paint sales spiking. And, you think about it, if you're in a room and you're like, for a low cost, I can change the color of this room that I never really liked, but I never really had time to deal with it. But what that then inspires is it makes the other things look worse than they did. You didn't do that on purpose.
It's true.
Let me freshen up the space, but now the other stuff.
It's true.
And having more time in a home and spending that more time, it just, we love in humanity when people invest in their houses, to better their environments for their families. But now it was maybe some discretionary dollars that could be, funneled towards this. And by the way, I'm really been sick of this kitchen or bath for years, but I didn't have time to deal with it.
Exactly. Now it's right in front of us and we can't get away from it. So it is the perfect time and opportunity to tackle those projects. Bill, what do you see? What trends are expected to continue? What do you see?
Yeah, design and living impact trends. You already had some trends like healthy living and technology that were strong pre-COVID. But I mean, if you look at healthy living, wellness in the kitchen and bath, larger sinks for washing fresh produce. In the bathroom, you look at steam showers, heated floors, things that create an escape for people. And God knows that we all need an escape,
right?
More than ever.
Absolutely.
If you look at modern and organic, the melding of materials and colors, feeling connected to nature. Anytime designers can bring the outdoors in, larger windows, use of skylights, things that help with healthy living and support healthy living, and also simplified living. So how can we make our life easier? Undermount sinks for ease of cleaning, self-cleaning or one-piece toilets. Anything that organizes, helps you organize your store. If you go grocery store, you want to go less often maybe. Well, that means you need to store more things, so all that to support simplified living, less maintenance, those types of things. When it comes to technology, we knew that custom, it was upon us, more than 12 months ago, and it gets stronger and stronger. But now there's practical applications like water leak detection with mobile alerts, hands-free faucets and things that we saw before, but now, especially in an antimicrobial sensitivity environment, who doesn't want something like a hands-free faucet or voice-activated faucet? Also, with water comes conservation, the attention to technology that supports water conservation. Of course, charging stations, and now we have these devices that were we needed to charge them, and now maybe the whole family is at home all the time, needing to charge more than their fair share of devices. So that's a big thing. Motion sensor lighting, things, energy efficiency, and maybe one last thing would be living in place where how decimated elder living facilities were hit with COVID initially, just expounded upon who is living in the house, not just the immediate family, but the child that was at school that's now home from school, schooling their college at home, and then maybe grandma and grandpa that got pulled out of the care facility that maybe there was always a wish for them to be closer to their family, but now it was even more urgent. So I think you will see that, an ongoing, this living in place environment where you're serving multiple generations with those spaces it's been a strong trend and will grow even stronger.
That you covered so much there. And I think that what we looked at is things that were maybe not immediately on our horizon, a challenge or opportunity, now presents itself with timing to do so. You covered a lot there, but each sector of the kitchen and bath market does face its unique challenges, opportunities. Is there anything else that you do see on the horizon for us to look out for?
Yeah, definitely the supply chain disruption, as many of your members are very aware. Our KBMI reported as the industry's greatest challenge. Appliances and cabinets most impacted, while other luxury products, particularly those coming from Europe, are facing delays in lead times. I mean, many of this was driven initially by factories closing. You can't just close 5 factories around the world and just flip a switch and magically they're back at full production, not to mention the pent-up demand and all those, trying to meet the demand immediately. So, but that's been an issue, and it's been a challenge for the remodeling sector to fulfill a job completion with appliance products that are taking longer than typical to arrive. Opportunities, though, interesting again, retail sales, foot traffic rose 8% in 2020 over 2019, which to me is, again, fascinating.
I saw that. That threw me off there. Explain that, please.
Yeah, much of it driven by the DIYers. I think, the big boxes open as essential businesses from the outset. That likely drove a lot of that. But it has not necessarily led to increased revenue, which, again, I think points back to it's likely that it's DIY driven from the big boxes, so that is, a little bit hard to process in what you would say is a COVID environment with all that we talked about before for the showrooms. So one other thing in response to the heightened demand for products, especially appliances, manufacturing sales increased nearly 6% year over year in Q3. I think I mentioned that before. This is despite these COVID-related disruptions. So mind you, it's not restricting the sales on the manufacturing side per se. It's limiting sales beyond, in order, not meeting the demand, would be exceeding these sales. So it's a very interesting dynamic from the manufacturing sector with what they're dealing with the supply chain, but the demand as well as their ability to pivot and try to source things and just, deliver, what the trades want to meet the consumer's demands.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there when we're talking about, the production of appliances and products as well as the retail of selling it. But, the other big part of this is skilled labor. Finding skilled labor and attracting talent to our industry is challenging, both from a lack of understanding about career opportunities as well as, where to go for resources to help shine a light on the kitchen and bath and the PHCP industry. One interesting note that I found is that you had pioneered a program called NKBA Next Up to address the skilled labor and attracting talent issue. Talk to me about that, please.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about the biggest challenges and what I've always, the last year or 2 years in having conversations, it's really about the labor shortage and the cost of materials. Mm-hmm. Well, the cost of materials, I think, only exceeded the labor shortage in the advent of COVID and this complete disruption of a supply chain, which you can understand is the most, where the shiny object is, where everyone's looking at. However, the labor issue has not gone away, and frankly is likely to go back to number one in my mind once the supply chain kind of catches up, because we have this situation, as you know, average age of a plumber, electrician, all these core trades is nearly 60 years old. We first, started talking about it with one of our cabinet manufacturers as they were sourcing finished carpenters, and just the cost of labor for a finished carpenter as it continued to escalate. And as we did studies and looked at this, decided that, what is a platform that we can create to inspire our members, our chapters, the industry to focus on this. And we decided to focus on the youth, even though this is a long lead time situation. I mean, there's so many great programs for people that are in, ex-military or ex-prisoners, in areas where you can help people get jobs and that are already in the adult professional age. We didn't think there was enough emphasis on the youth, and we wanted to really have a fair shot at a young person who might be, the school systems might stereotype a child who either doesn't want to pursue college as, not successful, not being able to have a successful life if you don't go to college. And by the way, there's a lot of jobs that in our industry that you do need a college degree for. So we say it's not only the skilled trades gap, it's the professional trades gap, right. Engineers and things. But in the core of it, the skilled trades, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, all those types of things, we've had success with just introducing this program. Our board of directors supporting a big initiative by partnering with an organization in Houston called Bridge Year. And really, we're excited even within the COVID environment, because it was great. We had our first event January 10th, it was this year in Houston. I was there, and we had a whole bunch of kids in the school gymnasium, and just it was heartwarming to see where they're sitting there between periods, and they probably are have a little bit of information about what this even is that they're about to experience. And the gym is set up with all these stations, and it really allows them to experience what is it like to be a plumber. You got to dress like a plumber. Here's a pipe, here's some water. Get the water to go through the pipe.
Right.
Wire a light bulb. It's not just read this about what it's like to be an electrician. It's act out the part, and it is amazing to me these young people's response. I mean, their eyes were like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." And I think we had a couple of kids, and it was just again heartwarming to see they did something, and they're like, "I want to be that."
Wow.
And it was did we really influence them in an hour from when they showed up in the gym to say, "Oh, what is this we're doing?" And next thing you know, they want to be an electrician. It's not that easy, right? We know that. But I think as long as we have a fair shake, as long as, if you look at what guidance counselors deal with every day, the tremendous challenges that they're up against them, but there's not really an opportunity for young people, if you don't know a plumber or a carpenter, or your family, you're not about to be a third generation, tradesperson. Your next door neighbor is not one. Does it enter the picture, especially with, all the tech that young people are exposed to, and, everybody wants to work for, some big tech giant and live in Silicon Valley and, do that. We know this is a sustainable career that's very lucrative, potential business ownership. So anyway, on the pivot from COVID, we kicked off virtual kits. So it's because we couldn't go to the schools and do what we were doing, even though we impacted a bunch of kids, thousands of kids in 2020, we pivoted to do virtual kits in Houston and Las Vegas. And we're going to be bringing those to your market in Chicago and some others in 2020 as well. So we're going to try to still not let COVID halt progress for us and continue to introduce young people to the great possibilities of a career in the trades.
That is fantastic. And I wrote down here a quick note. I wrote down, it's the experience of it. And we always say that this industry is, we need to shine a light on how wonderful it is. And your program is doing exactly that by providing this experience for the youth and others as well, which translates into, let's talk about the biggest experience of all, which is the KBIS show. And I know that 2021, it will be a virtual event. And I got to tell you, I'm loving the tagline, which is an extraordinary event for extraordinary times. Tell us, what do we have in store for the 2021 event? Tell me what's in store and also the unexpected.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the biggest decisions we've had to make, or I've had to make in the my career at KBA is when we decided in partnership with the home builders to cancel the live component.
Right.
In the background, we were already kind of working towards, the virtual, because we were going to do a hybrid if people were allowed to go to the in-person. And, we had expected, obviously not 100% of the people to show up. What could we do from a virtual perspective? And then the virtual started to grow. And then we said, ultimately had to make the difficult decision. But I talked to the staff about this has to be awesome. I mean, what we've represented for KBIS in the last several years, especially, is the premier event. You look at Milan as a global design event of epic scale. I put us right there, as one of the biggest events in the world in our industry. And when you partner with the home builders and you bring everybody, who's anybody in the construction world, it's amazing. And we've now had this bar set, and we cannot under-deliver and just kind of manage our way through 2021. So they were like, we know, but we don't know.
Exactly.
We know, but we don't know.
Exactly.
So, anyway, the greatest part came to fruition recently, because I think is defining this is difficult, but we found a partner. So there's multiple partners. Of course, Emerald, as our show management, had to partner with a platform to create a dynamic so you can register and you can go to both IBS and KBIS and that type of thing and experience the exhibits. There's all these other events that we do. As you know, you've experienced some of them yourself personally. Mm-hmm. How do we bring them to the screen? Like, how do we, no offense to Zoom, but goodness gracious, you can't, you've probably been on some conferences, and I appreciate the effort, but you can't go to a 5-day, a 3-day event, no less a 5-day event, and just Zoom call after Zoom call.
Right.
So our team found this organization, a company called Sequent AR. Mm-hmm. They're ARs for augmented reality. And because we wanted this immersive experience, how do you, when someone goes on into a conference or an event, and they're like, wow, and they're not like looking for the next break so they can log off,
Right.
They want to be there and engage. So it's a super cool opportunity for us. Mixing this on-demand educational programming with engaging events. We'll have our voices from the industry that, we've been known to kind of produce,
right.
2.0 version, 60 programs. People will be able to not only watch them, during that week, but also on demand, I think, to the end of March. So they'll get a lot of value out of that for the conference. Design and Industry Awards, Best of KBIS, 30 Under 30. We're going to have all these cool State of the Industry, State of the Association. We're thankful that David Kohler agreed to be our speaker for State of the Industry. I mean, who better to speak than a family that's lived through, a century of challenges. And I think David can inspire our members in the industry at large by just understanding and embracing the challenge that we've all experienced and just, kind of powering through. So I think people will be really excited to participate. And it's going to be something, that you haven't seen. And I think that was another thing that we really focused on is it can't just be another conference. This has to be special. And people have to look at it. It's like, wow, I did not expect that. Wow, that's better than I was thinking. Those are the words we're looking for. And, we'll have to execute and hopefully we'll get that response.
Well, I can tell you already that, you thoroughly have my vote because it does sound like it's going to be an extraordinary event and I'm looking forward to it. And this circles into, and you had mentioned this many times about engagement. And as we both know, member engagement is so important to the vitality of any organization. And you and the team have done a lot for your members. Can you talk about member engagement from what was done this year and moving into 2021?
Sure. And just going back to KBIS for one more minute, and
sure.
This is a big part of member value, is it's free to register for KBIS virtual as a member. So it's a 4-day event, February 9th to the 12th. Go to KBIS.com to register as a member. But if you're not a member and you're interested in this, it's worth exploring both, as you can relate for the value of membership as well as getting a free access to KBIS virtual. I mean, to me, like the foundation of all associations, trade associations, is membership. We're very fortunate to have a massive trade show to complement our suite of offerings with professional development. But it stems back to membership and what do you get for dues? What am I paying for? And we feel like we work very hard to exceed expectations and deliverables based on what you pay in dues. And it's just been very humbling to me and very proud of how well we did. So we budgeted to grow dues 4% in 2020. Of course, before COVID, we present our budget in October the prior year into our board in November. So everybody blessed this 4% growth. And then COVID comes along and we're like, goodness,
right.
What do we do with that? Well, I'm happy to report that we will meet our growth target of 4%. So
fantastic.
To me, what kind of a statement does that make about our commitment from our members to actually be able to grow our dues by 4%, predicting that before COVID, having COVID enter the picture, and still be able to meet that? To me, I couldn't be more proud of what our team has done to create the value, but also what our members have done, the chapters have done, the board has done to support us to be able to deliver this value. So, one of the tools that we obligated ourselves to is to say, COVID happened. What do we do? We tried to do as much as we could to increase the value. And, the biggest thing that I think we did out of the box was launch this new digital forum called Great New Business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about also enhancing all the different values and programs that we did, but also what can we do? Can we jump into the front lines with our members? What can we do to come to the people? Like, everybody's struggling, trying to figure it out. What can we do? So we said, how about we do this live weekly session and bring speakers that are very timely, presenting vision, forward thinking. I'm in the showroom. I have to do something right now. What can I learn? What can I learn? And what can I do like today or tomorrow?
Right.
Not like, what can I build into my strategy for the next 3 years? So really proud that we got out there super early with COVID, with B&B, and been able to host them really weekly since then. And our members have been just so appreciative, and the engagement. Early on when everybody was kind of locked down and nobody could go anywhere, we had upwards of 1,500 people register for these things, and it was you only had 3-4 days before the event, so it was overwhelmingly positive from the engagement we've had from the members, and just thankful that our team was able to kind of bring it forward that quickly and consistently deliver it. This past episode, we did talk about the shift in how we meet, greet, and connect, and we had the guests from Sequin AR, our KBIS augmented reality partner. So I encourage your audience to look on our NKBA YouTube channel, and you can watch any of the episodes, but this most recent one will give you a real good feel of some of the technologies that we're going to be using for virtual KBIS.
Well, from what you described, it's definitely there's strength in an engaged group, which is your members, and the energy that's being created right now to look forward to the KBIS virtual event in 2021 is really amazing. And I'll make sure that all of our readers here at PHCPPros and the Wholesaler magazine, we direct folks to the website to get registered for it. You've got a lot going on and time is precious. So I'm going to end our conversation here with a little tidbit I heard. I heard the Darcy household had undergone a kitchen renovation this past year. Tell me, did it go as expected? And what did you learn from this experience that might help others?
Yeah, so I did 14 years at the NKBA. Ironically enough, I have never done a kitchen remodel. Did a couple of bathrooms.
Yeah.
And, the skills I have as CEO of the NKBA that give me the blessing to work, in this job has zero relation to the skills you need to remodel a kitchen or a bathroom.
Uh-huh.
So people that think, oh, you know about this. Well, I don't know any more about this than the average consumer. It has nothing to do with, vetting and being a trade association.
Right.
So, however, we started off with my wife and I actually were planning to do it this year, but at the end of last year, we're like, it's time. The kitchen's 15 years old, and just about the sweet spot of needing to remodel it. And we bought the house 4 years ago, so we kind of inherited something that we didn't love anyway, but right. It was fine, up until it kind of wasn't. And then COVID hit, and we're like, gosh, is this really the best time to be doing this? I mean, for various reasons, financially, people in the house, all that kind of thing. So we ultimately decided to push forward. We started with donating our existing kitchen to Renovation Angel.
Mm-hmm.
which we've just loved the experience there. I encourage any of your listeners who work with projects and encourage people to donate their kitchens. I mean, it's the simplest experience ever, and it lessens demo, and it's win-win-win all the way across the board. So we did that, hired a CNKBD, an NKBA certified master kitchen and bath designer to design our space, worked with a member contractor to execute the job, and of course sourced all our NKBA member products. And I have three young boys, they're not now, and 2 dogs. So you take a house in COVID and you disrupt that with all the humans and the dogs, in the house. And it was difficult. I mean, but the contractor did a fantastic job on schedule the whole time. The only thing, we did have some disruption in the timing of the appliances, which didn't really set us back because we had a sink and an oven to work with. So we could, the dishwasher, while it was a little bit late, you can deal with it,
right?
That type of thing. It really wasn't that. It was like 2 weeks. It wasn't like a huge thing, but it did take a long. I ordered them early, so that was really the supply chain realities was the only thing. But we absolutely love it, and I can't tell you the best thing we did for our family is you don't realize how much joy the space brings to you, just purely sometimes from the color combination.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a 15-year-old style and you replace it with a current style, painted cabinets, white colors, natural light, it's a joy to be in the room now. And for our family, it helped. It helped us kind of deal with COVID a little bit, and because you had, most of the time, where do you spend your time? And to have a brand new room that you could, blessed to have, we couldn't be more thankful and glad that we did it.
That sounds fantastic. And it is truly all about enjoying life, and the space that we live in is a big part of that, which goes into this wonderful industry that we are in. And, and you taking care of all of us here and heading up the NKBA. I'm going to say thank you for everything that you're doing for the industry, and also for getting the virtual KBIS going here. We're looking forward to that. I will instruct everyone how to sign up for it. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn you loose and get back to doing the things that you do and do very well. Bill, thank you very much for your time today on Off the Cuff, and we look forward to seeing you on our screens here come February.
Ruth, thank you again. It's been a great talking with you today. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Take care, Bill. Thank you.
Bye-bye.